Welcome to your Phil Steele Plus tour for August, early August. And what I'm going to do for you on the tour through August, I am going to show you some matchups that I think you'll find interesting for the upcoming season. But I'm also going to show you how to use different parts of the Phil Steele Plus. And what I'll try to do is keep these rather short for you, but I want you to be able to use Phil Steele Plus to the fullest. Today, I'm just talking to you about the last 24 years matchups. And this is available, what you see in front of you, is available for every single team for the entire FBS, and it's completely updated right now. So you can click on any matchup for the upcoming season, and you will get the last 24 years matchups instantly. You will find out how many times they've played the last 24 years, how many times teams have covered. Now, when you look at these numbers, green numbers are good numbers. As you can see here, Alabama used to run the ball for 200-plus yards per game against Auburn. The last 3 years, they haven't run for the 200, but they have thrown for over 300 a game. You could see that at an instant just by looking at it. But when you're looking at matchups for the upcoming year, you're probably trying to handicap some games. And if that's the case, let's take a look over here. Over the last 13 years, Alabama, if it's in this column here, this is your score of the game. If the green means that you want that this team won the game, it says the Alabama page. So this is Alabama. They have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wins and 4 losses straight up. Now this number over here is where they were favored or an underdog for the game. The minus means that they were favored. A plus would mean they were an underdog. When's the last time Alabama was an underdog to Auburn? It was way back here in 2007. They didn't cover that game. It was part of a 6-game stretch where Auburn won 6 in a row against Alabama. I don't know if you knew that or not. Now you come over here, and let's see how Alabama's done the last 14 games against the spread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 5. So 9 and 4 straight up, 8 and 5 against the spread. But over here, this column you may find interesting. Look how the home team has done. Now the interesting part here is the win and loss refers to whether the home team won or lost the game straight up. The color indicates whether or not the home team covered the game. So example, you see this loss here in 2014. Auburn was at home, or excuse me, Alabama was at home. Alabama lost the game 13-21, which is why it says loss over here. But they covered because they were a 10-point home dog. Can you imagine Alabama, a 10-point home dog? They were this year, and they covered the game. So if you see the words win, like here, win means the home team won the game but did not cover. In this case, the home team was Auburn. They won the game 28-23, but Alabama was plus 7.5 and covered. However, if you look right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the home team is 8-1 against the spread, and 3 times has pulled an upset in that span. I find that fascinating in this series. I didn't realize the home team was actually 5-0 straight up until I did the research on the game, and you see it even goes back further to 8-1. And so always take a look at who's home, who's away when you're matching up the series. And what I did earlier this year is I went through every game for the upcoming year. I used these last 24 years matchups on every game, and they showed me exactly a lot of great things about each and every series. Here's another advantage. Let's take a look at Alabama against FCS teams. This year they're playing Mercer. Here's a beautiful thing. You probably know nothing about Mercer, and you vaguely remember how Alabama's done against FCS teams. Well, here's how the chart works. Alabama has actually naturally won every game against an FCS team. So you're wondering, do they cover? Well, guess what? Alabama's gone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 the last 9 games against the spread versus FCS opponents. You see that at a glance. Now, the only thing when you're doing the FBS part down here is it's the exact opposite. So in this game here, I don't have it set up for the FCS. I have it set up for the FBS. So in this case, Mercer lost the game 49-3 and did not cover. The green is bad down here. It's the only part of the whole thing is when you're looking at FCS opponent versus FBS. So as you can tell here, Mercer is 2-4 against the spread against FBS teams and have lost all 6 of those games. So you might find that a little bit fascinating when you're using the FBS versus FCS matchups. And these are available. You can see this right here. Now let me show you how to get to these. If you go to philsteele.com, right here is your home page. Go to FBS Info and click on Team Pages. When you click on the Team Pages, here they are. And that will gain you access to each of the team pages. The first game we're going to look at here, let's go to the MAC. And let's look at Central Michigan against Northern Illinois. I found this series to be interesting. You just click on Central Michigan. You see how this is highlighted here? Click on Northern Illinois. There is your last 24 years matchups. Now, you do have a lot of upsets in this series. You could tell out here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 upsets in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13 years. So you be a little careful there. But here's the one thing I want to point out. Central Michigan has gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 straight up in the series. But look at this column of green. They've covered 7 in a row when playing Northern Illinois. So you might put that on your radar for this year. Central Michigan has dominated this game against the spread. Look at the last 2 years. Since they got upset, or since they lost this game, I should say, in 2018, they have won 48-10 and 40-10. And this takes you all the way down the line. You can see at one point here, Northern Illinois dominated the series, but right now it is definitely Central Michigan. We see some upsets out here. The home team, there's nothing really. And then this even gives you over-unders. You can see right here at a glance, 5 of the last 7 games have actually gone under the total in the series. So that's very interesting for that one. Let's take a look at a couple others. I want to show you how to use these 24 years matchups. Let's stay in the MAC for a minute. We're going to look at Western Michigan against Akron. So now we take Western Michigan, and once again, you just go to the team they're playing, Akron, and we are there. And here's the thing we found out here. You can see, and I want to point this one out to you. First of all, the home team doesn't do very well. Look at this. The home team is just 2-8 against the spread, so not much of a home field edge. It seems like when Western's at home, they're probably a big favorite, and when they travel to Akron, Akron never has that much of a home edge. So the home team's actually 2-8 against the spread. Come over here, we see that Western Michigan's 8-2 in the series, straight up, and 8-2 against the spread. But looking at this closer, you can see this green, 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 red, green, 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 red, green. That means that the team that won the game straight up has actually covered the game all 10 meetings. So if you got an inkling who's going to win the game straight up, then you pretty much probably have the spread winner in that one as well. That's happened 10 straight times. It'll be going for 11-0 this year. A rivalry game that I found fascinating was Florida and Florida State. Let's go take a look at that one. We're going to take a look at Florida State, and we are going to look at the Florida game. Now, you would think in a rivalry game that double-digit favorites do not do well. I would just knee-jerk react to any double-digit dog in a rivalry game like Florida and Florida State. However, here, let's look for the double digits. Double-digit dog, lost. Double-digit favorite, won. Double-digit dog, lost. Double-digit dog, you don't see the minus sign there, lost. Double-digit dog, lost. Double-digit dog, lost. You have to go all the way back here to find a double-digit favorite that actually covered. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A double-digit favorite that did not cover. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row for the double-digit favorite in this series. So if Florida, for example, ends up a double-digit favorite this year over Florida State, don't be afraid. As you can see, there are plenty of blowouts in this series, and every time someone's been favored by double digits, they pretty much have won by more than the spread. So you find that interesting. Let's take a look at another SEC matchup this time. We're going to look at LSU against Texas A&M. And once again, you just click here. You go to the LSU team page. There's your schedule laid out for you. You click on any of these you want. That McNeese State one will be updated shortly. And you click on Texas A&M. When you do that, you can see that LSU's dominated this series. How about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-2? You think that's impressive? Look at this column. How about 10-0 against the spread? They have never not covered against Texas A&M. So that's a nice thing to see there. Look how their defense has done. They actually have held Texas A&M to 267, 169, 282, under 300 yards, 1, 2, 3, 6 of the last 8 meetings. Once again, you could see the green at a glance. And look how LSU's run game had done up until the last 2 years. Last year, they only ran for 36 yards in the game, but you could see that generally the run game does well. So you've got everything color-coded green and red. Green is good numbers, red is bad numbers. Let's look at CUSA for another matchup here. Once again, we're just going to go back to the team pages. We're going to click on CUSA. Let's take a look at North Texas. North Texas against UTSA. Let's see what I came upon here when I was looking at this one. The one thing I wanted to point out here is how the home team is done. This is one of those games. Look at this. The home team is 6-1 straight up. How about 7-0 against the spread? So simply playing the favorite in the or playing the home team, I should say, in the North Texas UTSA game, you would have been 7-0. And look at this. How about 6 straight unders in the series? Once again, this is at your fingertips. For every game, it's updated all season long, but it's updated now. You can analyze and break down every single game for the upcoming season. All of them have the last 24 years matchups. Now, let's say you say to yourself, I need something more. This one only takes me back to 2013. Is there more? Well, actually, let's go to a bigger game. Let's go back to that Alabama game, for example. Alabama against Auburn. Let's say you're doing your research on the game and you get through your 24 years and you have a hunch. Is there a trend? Well, you could actually go back here and look at the last 40-plus years. This almost takes you back the last 45 years. In fact, it does take you back the last 45 years, all the way to 1976. You have the spread on every game since 1976, whether they made a bowl or not, wins and losses. Right here is when Vegas started putting a total on all the games. Prior to that, they maybe put totals on marquee games in 1999, 2000. Once they put a total on every game, we included it in the stats. And then also what we included here was halftime scores. So you go back to 2014, you got the halftime scores on every single game since 2004. And this 20 block will be updated shortly. It's in your magazine right now, so you already have these last 5 years in your magazine. But if you like that for the last 5 years of the magazine, you got 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 years of spread history, all the back to 1976. And this is with Phil Steele Plus. It's on every team. Every single team has got the spread history over the last 40 years. Let's take a look at a big matchup. Let's look at Ohio State, Michigan. You all know that Ohio State dominates Michigan, right, on a yearly basis. But do you just plunk down your money blindly and pick Ohio State against the spread? Well, look at this. Well, Ohio State has gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 1 straight up in the series. Michigan's actually covered 4 of the last 7. So that's something to look at there. And here's another trend. Did you know, and I didn't even know this, I know a lot of trends in the series, but I didn't even realize this. Look at this. You have 7 straight overs in the Ohio State-Michigan game. So instead of blindly maybe throwing your money on Ohio State because they always win the game, what they don't always cover, maybe throw it blindly on the over, which has gone over 7 straight years. A remarkable trend for what used to be a defensive struggle. And, we could go back and let's go ahead and look at the last 40-plus years there. There's probably some low-scoring games here. Look at this, 22-0, 14-6, 14-3, 18-5, all these, 9-3 back then when it was that rivalry, and that's how you picture it in your head. But how about 7 straight overs for that series? And once again, I hadn't even really looked at the chart that close to pick up the over-under angle in that. So that's how you can use this. You can really gain an advantage, and it takes you back over the last 24 years. Once again, if you need more research than that, you can go back even further. Well, just go over one more game. I wanted to keep this short for you today. Take a look at the Clemson-Georgia game. That's an old-time rivalry that's getting renewed this year. Surprisingly, when I clicked on it, they've only played 4 times in the last 24 years. Georgia has actually won 3 of the last 4. The teams have split here. You can see the home team is 2-2 against the spread, 3-1 straight up. Of course, this year they're at a neutral site, so the home team doesn't matter. And as far as the favorite goes, Georgia was favored in each of the last 4 meetings and gone 2-2 against the spread. No major trends here, except for the fact that Clemson has only rushed for 68, 35, 197, and 88. Of course, keep in mind, last time they played was 2014. And let's go take a look at Clemson in 2014. And another really nice aspect of the team pages, and I won't get into it that much here. I just wanted to take a look at is when you go to the last 40 years results, when you come down here, you could see how the team did. Dabo Sweeney was in his 6th straight year playing in 14, 10-3 that season, so they weren't a bad team at all. And yet Georgia did well against them. So you've got all this information at your fingertips. If you go to the homepage of philsteele.com and you go to the store, you can click on Phil Steele Plus. And when you click on Phil Steele Plus, it's just $69 for the entire season. Now, that'll get you the last 24 years all season long, but it gets you a ton of other information. I'll go over all the rest of the pages with you in these things, but if you want to start using these 24 years matchups and use them now, that $69 takes you all the way through February of this year. So we're talking August, September, October, November, December, January, and February. 7 months. That's less than $10 a month, guys. And you can have all this access at your fingertips whenever you want to look at it, and you can look at it all season long. So just go to philsteele.com, hit in the Phil Steele Plus, click that up, and start diving into those last 24 years matchups. I'd like to thank you for taking time with us today. I'll have some more of these tutorials up for you very shortly here on the blog.